You're muted.
We ought to be live right now.
Okay. Well, welcome to the 5:30 p.m. Cumberland County Commissioners Zoom meeting of Monday, May 10th. The public may watch via YouTube video live stream at cumberlandcounty.org/live. There is a 3-minute public comment period at the beginning of the meeting. If you wish to submit comments, please submit them to kennedy@cumberlandcounty.org, all one word, prior to or at this time. With that said, I'll call the meeting to order and ask Alex to please call the roll. You're on mute.
Sorry. Commissioner Gordon,
Here.
Commissioner Jameson,
Here.
Commissioner Cloutier,
Present.
Commissioner Watonis,
Here.
and Commissioner Coward.
Present.
Thank you.
The first order of business is accepting the minutes, of which there are 3 sets. The regular meeting of April 12th, the special meeting of April 22nd, and the regular meeting of April 26th.
So moved.
I'll second.
Are there any known errors or omissions? Hearing none, I'll declare the minutes accepted.
Well, why don't I do the roll call on it?
All right,
Commissioner Gordon,
here.
Commissioner Jameson,
Yes.
Commissioner Cloutier,
Yes.
Commissioner Watonis,
Yes.
and Commissioner Coward.
Yes.
Thank you.
Alex, do we have any informational reports or presentations?
We do not have any informational reports. No.
Okay. Having none, I declare the public comment period open. Mr. Kennedy, do we have any comments?
We have 2 comments from the public tonight, Commissioner, and I'll just read them in the order that I received them. The first comment is from Sue Hawes, so I'll read it from beginning to end. Good evening, my name is Sue Hawes. I have lived in Cumberland County since 1995. My husband worked at Cumberland County Jail from 2006 until he was medically retired at age 47 in 2018. For the details, please refer to my recorded and written testimony from the September 10, 2019 monthly commissioners meeting. Thank you for recording and posting on YouTube the Zoom recording of your April 26th workshop about the staffing crisis at Cumberland County Jail. Every month, thousands of hours of unstaffed shifts at the Cumberland County Jail continue to be forced upon the few remaining staff as overtime. Corrections officers are daily being unexpectedly forced to remain for a second 8-hour shift. If they refuse, they are docked pay and disciplined, which impacts future promotions. If they stay after 16 hours at one of our society's most stressful jobs, the officers are sent onto the roads to drive home, endangering themselves and others. Much too often, the officers have only 8 hours to drive home, sleep, eat, hug their family, and drive back to work. See the attached articles about stress and corrections officers. So far, 2 Cumberland County Jail corrections officers have crashed after falling asleep while driving home after a 16-hour shift. July 21st, 2019 included a fatality, and March 28, 2021. On October 22, 2020, a Kennebec County Jail corrections officer also fell asleep at the wheel and crashed after a 16-hour shift. I was dismayed by the lack of urgency demonstrated during the workshop regarding the jail staffing crisis and the lack of mention of any action plan before the worst months of July and August hit. On February 3rd, 2020, I requested from the sheriff the quarterly reports described in Goal 8 of his strategic plan. See attached copy. Goal 8 objective number 1 states, captains perform exit interview with departing employees, ensuring that critical information is captured and tracked in order to identify trends. Captains provide a quarterly report to the sheriff and chief deputy. Data is analyzed to develop an understanding of trends that may need attention. However, the sheriff's response to my FOAA request was simply, the Cumberland County Sheriff's Office does not have records responsive to your request dated February 3rd, 2020. See attached FOAA request and response. Sheriff Joyce prompted the April 26th workshop. See the Sheriff's April 18, 2021 letter to commissioners attached. Sheriff Joyce blames his jail staffing issues on low recruitment, low pay, and employees leaving for dream jobs. The facts do not support the sheriff's assertions. Sheriff Joyce has hired and paid for 6 weeks of basic corrections Maine Criminal Justice Academy training for about 148 new hires since January 2017. Why are there fewer than 50 left? Recruitment is not the issue. The jail working conditions are the issue. Under the Freedom of Access Act, I hereby request to inspect the records the sheriff used to report to the commissioners on April 26, 2021, the list of reasons employees left their positions at Cumberland County Jail. Thank you. Would you like me to go directly into the next comment, Commissioner?
Yes.
Okay. The next comment is from Donna Dwyer, and it is as follows. Dear Commissioners, my name is Donna Dwyer, and I'm the CEO of My Place Teen Center. Thank you for your serious and diligent commitment to Cumberland County. We appreciate your consideration of our application on behalf of our under-resourced 10 to 13-year-old demographic. It might interest you to note during the first 9 months of the pandemic, we adapted to become a mobile and curbside food pantry and dinner service. We broadened our reach and served anyone from anywhere, any age. Since March 2020, we procured, prepared, packed, and delivered more than 35,000 homemade meals, 8,000 snack/hygiene kits, and handed out $7,425 in gift cards. We served 250 people a day, 5 days a week for 9 months. Most telling was a family of 14 from Portland that we delivered to 3 days per week. The primary recipients of our meals came from Westbrook, Portland, Wyndham, Gray, and South Portland. Thank you for your care on behalf of your neighbors. We're all in this together, and we all play a vital role in impacting the health and well-being of Cumberland County citizens. And she titles it Public Comment for Cdbg Funding. That is the end of public comment.
Are there any comments by the commissioners wished at this time? Tom?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. Travis, I would appreciate seeing the attachments that were on Ms. Hawes' comments. If you, I mean, I don't need them during the meeting, but at some point, can you email them to me just so that I know?
I'll make sure to email the entire packet, Commissioner.
That would be fine. That would be fine. But thank you very much, and I appreciate you doing that, and I appreciate the comments that were made this evening at the meeting. Thank you.
Jim Cludier.
Just very briefly, I appreciate Susan Hawes' latest letter and the ones she sent us before. And she did express a little dismay about positive action plans by the commissioners at the workshop. I just want to make a note for her and for anyone else that might have that impression. To the extent that pay or conditions of employment for corrections officers is an integral part of any action plan, that would be something that we are not allowed to discuss in public unless we're in a collective bargaining context where both parties have agreed to do that in public. So I just think that the lack of discussion might not signify a lack of interest.
Are there any other comments by the commissioners? Seeing none, I'll declare the public comment period. Tom? Okay. I'll declare the public comment period closed. The next item is the consent agenda. And the consent agenda contains items that require a vote by the commission, but for which there are no comments necessary. However, if any commissioner wishes to make a comment, they simply have to indicate such, and the item will be transferred to the new business agenda as an item for formal comment and action. Presently, there are 4 items on the consent agenda. 21030, approval of the Town of Naples summer deputy contract. Item 21031, appointment of Alan Coop to the Board of Assessment Review. Item 21032, authorization for the county manager to send a letter to the U.S. Board of Geographic Names. And lastly, item 21033, acceptance of the merger of the NCEU correction offices and the NCEU Cooks collective bargaining agreements. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved.
Seeing no discussion, Alex, please call the roll.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner Jameson,
Yes.
Commissioner Cloutier,
Yes.
Commissioner Watonis,
Yes.
and Commissioner Coward.
Yes.
Thank you.
The motion passes. New business. There are two items. Item 21034, approval of the 2021 CDBG Annual Action Plan. And note, this is the second reading and the call for a final action. May I have a motion?
Move
I move
passage.
that we accept the 2021 CDBG Annual Action Plan.
Well, I believe we have to do a second reading of it and then approve it.
Before the motion, okay.
Alex, don't. And we have a second.
Second.
So now I'll call on Kristen Stiles, our CDBG staff, to make a presentation, which I'll call for discussion afterwards. Kristen?
Good evening, Commissioners. Kristen Stiles, Community Development Director for Cumberland County. As you just mentioned, this is our second reading and second public hearing of our 2021 Annual Action Plan. This includes the county's 2021 CDBG and home budgets and funding recommendations. This year, we received our final allocation from HUD prior to our April 12th meeting, which means nothing has changed in this hearing from what I presented at the April meeting. Just to give a quick recap, Cumberland County is expected to receive just over 1.5 million in CDBG funds. Of that 1.5 million, 420,000 will go to the city of South Portland, 200,000 will go to Bridgeton, and the remaining funds will go to towns and cities around Cumberland County for public infrastructure, economic development, housing improvements, planning projects, and public service activities. All of the projects proposed by the Municipal Oversight Committee first submitted a CDBG application that was scored and reviewed by the CDBG review team. Once it was reviewed and scored, it was moved on to the Municipal Oversight Committee for further review and discussion before the final recommendations were made to the county commissioners. For our home program, the process runs a little bit later to align with the main housing low income tax credit program. So the application is currently available, but 100% of our funds go to the creation of new affordable development housing. This year, we are expected to give 432,000 in 2021 funds and an additional 145,000 in 2020 funds that were unused. That, like I said, the application is currently available and we will be reviewing those applications in July. I'm happy to take any questions from the commissioners about if you have any follow-up questions about the CDBG or home program for this year.
Discussion. Seeing none, Alex, can you call the roll?
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner Jameson,
Yes.
Commissioner Cloutier,
Yes.
Commissioner Watonis,
Yes.
and Commissioner Coward.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, it passes, and Kristen, please accept our thanks and congratulate your staff and you for another excellent job and presentation. This is really a service to the county and to the communities in which we serve.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kristen.
Thank you very much. Just one last quick thing, if anyone is interested, all of the applications and the recommendations are all available on the county's CDBG website, if anyone would like to take a look at them. Thank you very much.
Great. Next item, item 21035, acceptance of the Regional Communications Board of Directors amended bylaws. May I have a motion?
Move
I'll
passage.
make a motion.
Alex, will you please give an abbreviated overview of the amendments?
Certainly. So this has been going back and forth a little bit. We have Melinda Fairbrother Dyer here to chime in with anything I might miss on this and to answer any questions you might have. This has been sort of a work in progress for them. Really, the key things that have come up in the past, one was making sure in those bylaws the commissioners ultimately have the final say on issues that may come up in the process of the Board of Directors recommendations. There was some language in there replacing basically public safety or police chief members of the Board of Directors with non-public safety in order to keep a good mix of both in there. That's something where that board has ended up a little heavy on that front at times. And otherwise, mostly just really a lot of clarifying language. And those are the real big points on this one. But again, a lot of work and effort went into getting this tuned up. And happy to answer any questions either of me or of Melinda on this.
Melinda, do you have anything you want to add?
I think I'd just like to point out a point of clarification. Bullet number 6 was probably the most taxing portion to amend here, but a necessary one. So we put in a transition phrase, and I just wanted to maybe share a little bit of the intention behind it, is that nobody would lose a voting position that is a current board member. However, going forward, we would ask, and it's noted here in the recommendation for changes, that no two public safety representatives are employed within the same jurisdiction once the transition occurs.
Thank you for that
Thank you,
clarification.
Melinda. I missed that.
Is there any other questions of either Alex or Melinda? Seeing none, Alex, please call the roll.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner Jameson,
Yes.
Commissioner Cloutier,
Yes.
Commissioner Watonis,
Yes.
and Commissioner Coward.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion passes. Well, that ends the formal part of our business county meeting. Comments? Are there any comments from the deputy county manager?
Yeah, got a lot going on these days. I think as we move through May, we're really moving into the courthouse, closing in on that June 1 date where we'll start to be a lot more open than we have in the past. And so the hallways are getting a little more busy, traffic's getting a little busier. And certainly the thing that I notice is that both county employees and the general public are all kind of adapting to that. People are readjusting to the fact that there's actually traffic going to and from work. And so it's an interesting time. Nerves are a little up, I would have to say, as a result of the whole process. But so far, so good on that particular front. We also had a very fascinating meeting Friday of last week, which was something of a, I think we referred to it as a visioning meeting, talking at a very, very 30,000 foot level about the Department of Treasury, the American Rescue Plan Act funds and the best possible uses for them. Again, this was a very preliminary high-end meeting that was done prior to any additional guidance coming out, but it was fantastic, absolutely fascinating, and really started us down what is going to be a very long path. Along those lines, speak of the devil, at about 3 o'clock this afternoon, the Department of Treasury released its interim final rule. And Travis pointed out that that's a very contradictory phrase right there, interim and final at the same time. What this is a 150-page document that attempts to start to fine-tune what those funds can and can't be used for. The word of warning I would have on this is that this document is probably a better indication of what the funds can't be used for, as in, if this document says they can't be used now, it's probably not going to get better over time. Typically speaking, though, when this goes from interim final to final, it will tighten up a little further, but That just broke this afternoon. We barely had a chance to crack open the pages and get it printed out. But certainly county staff and, to be honest, staff of probably every municipality and county in the country is feverishly reading through this document at the moment. So those are the big things going on right now. Certainly more to come from county staff in the next week as we work through all of this.
Alex, aren't we also thinking about a workshop so that we can discuss some of this a little bit fuller?
Yes, we haven't set a date for the workshop yet, but we certainly could and should now that it has actually dropped. And the application for the actual funds that went out at the same time today. So we really didn't know what date that guidance was going to come. It could have come today, it could have come in a month, but it is here now. So certainly if we set a workshop at some point in time in the coming weeks, we'll have had time to digest this. So yes, that again should follow from here, and we can certainly work either with me or with Jim upon his return to set that date.
Good.
Yeah.
Susan, you're muted.
I thought the date was already set. I thought we set that last week.
How can you fade away? Put on your new mic.
I have the new mic on. Not the new mic, it's this computer. Mic is on. Can you hear it now?
You a Verizon ad?
I thought we already set the workshop date for the 31st.
I think that's what's proposed. You're correct.
So I would just put that on with the calendars then.
Yep, we'll make it official.
Any other questions of Alex? Executive staff. We have Sheriff Kevin Joyce with us. Sheriff.
Yeah, good evening. Little update on COVID in the jail. I think I sent out last week. We, about a month ago, earlier in April, we had 68 cases of COVID, whether it was corrections officers, I think there were about 10, and then 58 inmates. We locked down the facility immediately. This was probably our worst outbreak. And late last week, we started seeing the positive tests go down. We've been testing every 5 days since April 8th. Last week, we had one officer and one inmate tested positive with COVID. So we opened up intake on Friday night, and it was 29 minutes before the first police department came through with an arrest. We still have one employee and one inmate with COVID. We did testing today, again, with the help of the Westbrook Fire Department. Hopefully we'll see net zero, and that will start the 28-day ticking of the CDC clearing us from the outbreak. The vaccinations have been going well since about April 13th-ish. The Westbrook Fire Department, again, been a godsend, along with Portland Public Health. We've been able to get about half of the inmates as of last week, which was about 250, 270. Half of the inmates that wanted it were vaccinated, either with a J&J or the Moderna. The Moderna was given to the inmates that are going to be obviously in jail after the 28-day cycle so that they can get the second shot. We had a meeting with CDC on Friday, and they're going to provide us with, through, I think, Westbrook Fire, another 10 vaccinations of J&J, so we can have that on hand so that when people come in through intake now, we can ask if they have the vaccination. And if they don't and they want it, then we can take care of it so we can help with public health. So when they're released, there'll be one less person out there circulating around that does not have the vaccination. So we've got a pretty good plan. The correction officers and the correctional health care workers did a phenomenal job of, again, locking this down. It could have gone much worse. This was our worst outbreak, but instead of 269 at the time, we had 69. And we're glad for that. The hiring still continues. We actually had one woman start today. She's a certified corrections officer coming from another jail. So our gain, somebody else's loss, and we got a couple in the pipeline. We still going out to job fairs. I met with some of the staff that were at a job fair in Wyndham last week. We got one applicant out of it. I think there were only, if 20 people showed up for the job fair, and there were a lot of employers there looking for people. I guess they'd have been lucky. When I showed up the first hour, and that was the big rush, was 11 people. So again, not a lot of people out there looking for jobs, and we're trying to find those ones that are looking for jobs and vet them and get them to work as soon as possible. And that's all I have. If you have any questions.
Well, I've got a comment. Kevin, talk a little bit about MSA and where they're headed with the legislature and some of the bills they're talking about with homelessness and jail stabilization and et cetera.
Well, that's we've been just fending off a lot of bills. In fact, as I sit here, I've got to reach out to a representative, just said, call me. God knows what it's about. But, we've been trying to talk, about some of the issues that are out there, whether it's, decriminalizing homelessness. Honestly, I haven't been able to look at that bill, and I missed the last meeting on that particular thing. We're looking at the funding of the jail as, trying to find finally a law and some verbiage so that the state knows the rules of engagement, the counties know the rules of engagement, and we can maybe move ahead. We've been actively involved in the decriminalization of opioids. My heart says that that's probably not a bad idea. My brain says can be problematic because you need the carrot and the stick to get some of these people some help. There's just a plethora. Actually, it'd be easier for me to maybe take on one particular one because, I've been involved in, the gun show loophole law that recently came up and was asked to testify on that. Bike safety, obviously some of the issues coming around law enforcement, whether it's, cleaning up some of our own people, whether it's, holding sheriffs accountable or holding our employees accountable, et cetera. And no-knock warrants has been a burning issue. And then the last thing that's really concerning, and I've tried to speak out on it, is the qualified immunity. And the fact that the key word in qualified immunity is qualified. That particular immunity is not extended to everybody on every event. In fact, it's given to very few. So a lot of bills flying through. I just got off the phone. That's why I was late, with another representative about, corrections officers and how we retain them, et cetera. I know the state has a bill on retaining corrections officers in their own ranks and stuff. So it's really been busy. And I don't know if I answered anything that you wanted me to answer, Commissioner Gordon, but just a lot going on, and it's kept us busy in the last few months.
Well, I think that was the whole idea. It's infallible about how much business is going on, and the state is indicating that they would like to close. Well, Travis, you could help with this. Trying to close the session somewhere at the end of this month, and that's or have all bills discussed by the end of this month. I guess that's the way to say it. And so as a result, the bills are coming fast and furious, and for those that participate, it's a struggle. Well, thank you, Sheriff. I appreciate your comments. I don't know, Travis, you got anything to add to that?
I think the sheriff described the sort of madness of the pace of things there very well. What I'm seeing a lot of with the bills that we're watching from the perspective of the executive office is they're being scheduled very quickly. we're at the point where committees should have reported out 100% of bills, and none of them were, as far as I can tell, even very close. And so bills are being scheduled for hearings and work sessions very quickly. And what often happens is they're being tabled right away. And I know the sheriff has mentioned he's had a lot of calls from legislators. What's happening is the bills are being tabled, and then the legislators are seeing if they can sort of solve or find a common ground on their bills outside of or ahead of the committee process. And I think what we're going to start seeing is just a lot of ought not to passes coming out of these committees. The bill that, you know, as the sheriff mentioned, that, you know, has been a project and a concern for years. The jail funding bill has been referenced to the committee but hasn't been scheduled yet. And that's certainly a big one for us. But you know, by and large, a lot of these are, if they aren't cooked and ready to pass, they're either being carried over or killed, or the sponsors sort of left to their own devices. So we're going to see a lot of enormous pushes of votes in committees rapidly, and then gaps again while they sort of try and sort things out on their own. It's difficult to describe the scene because so much of it is also happening online, but that's basically, I think, what's going on. Otherwise, I'm also plowing through the guidance from Treasury today. Some hopeful items, some items that give me concern based on our priorities, but I think it's a little too early to make any guesses about what we can and can't do. We've only had it for a couple hours, but there will definitely be, as Alex mentioned, every municipal and county government across the state right now is just going to spend the next 3 days digesting this, and I think we'll have a lot more to talk about by the end of the week.
Thank you, Travis. I appreciate that. Melinda, I should offer you an opportunity if you would so care to dip your toe into this icy water.
I think I'll leave the political brew to the professionals. However, I can certainly give you a staffing update for the Regional Communications Center. Just like every other department, I think in Cumberland County, or at least public safety department, recruitment is tough. We're finding that we're drawing people out of other professions, maybe where they don't feel safe. So that is where we have a bit of an advantage over some of the stuff that the sheriff is dealing with. So we're finding that we have some nurses and whatnot that don't really want to be touching what's going on right now, but they still want to help. So they're coming to us. So currently we're training 5 new personnel. We will be hiring, and well, we've hired them already, given them conditional offers, but we'll be starting 2 additional new hires at the end of May. And if the timing works out right with their trainings and whatnot, they shouldn't clash. The other ones should be getting signed off and ready to roll before those 2 hit the floor. And that, knock on wood, will bring us to being fully staffed. We're feeling pretty positive about the new people that we have in the pipeline, and just trying to address any low-hanging fruit with our current staff to encourage them to stick around.
Thank you. Jim, did you have a question? Jim Cloutier? Okay. Lauren, do you have anything for the good of the order here?
Hi, no, thank you. Not today.
Okay. All right. So staff is taken care of here and has kept us informed, and I'll go into the county commissioners. Commissioner Jameson.
Thank you to Commissioner Gordon. As we turn the corner in spring, I want to congratulate all the families and particularly the seniors who are preparing for their high school graduations. This has been a particularly challenging year for you all, and we commend you for staying the course and working through this very unique and difficult process. Your best year in high school, your last year in high school sports, your college applications or career pursuits, all under the umbrella of the pandemic. So you've done a great job, and we want to congratulate you. And prior to our next meeting, most of you will graduate. So we wish you well, and we wish you a COVID-free future, college, career, and otherwise. So congratulations to the families. I also want to encourage everyone out there in Cumberland County who has not been vaccinated to go out and get vaccinated. There are a number of creative ways you can accomplish that, even if you have a full work schedule. They're doing mobile units in various towns, particularly rural communities. You can walk into some of the major vaccination centers without an appointment now. Lots of us had to wait 2 or 3 weeks. So please go out there and do it. So in Cumberland County, we can approach what will be close to herd immunity. You've done a great job so far, but let's finish the race. Let's not sort of stall here so we can continue to turn the corner and get back and return to a life of normality and progress, particularly as the summer tourist season arises. And just be mindful of everyone to be careful. If you're outside, you still should consider wearing a mask and follow the main CDC guidelines, and we'll beat this thing. Thank you.
You stole my thunder, Neil. Thank you. Tom Coward, Commissioner Coward.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would echo a lot of things that have already been said. My focus right now, beyond anything else, is doing whatever I can do to encourage people to get vaccinated. I'm old, so I got sort of moved ahead of the line, and it is very liberating to be able to meet with people, to have people around for dinner or whatever, without everybody having to stay 6 feet apart, which is difficult in my house, and without having to wear masks, among that. So I think I'm looking forward to that. I think there are a lot of positive benefits personally for everybody to go out and find a vaccine if you haven't already. I'm looking forward to our starting to come out of the kind of lockdown we've been in for many months. I'd like to amplify Commissioner Jameson on his comments that are about this. I think this is a matter of personal freedom to be able to get out and be about. Vaccination is a wonderful tool of modern medicine that we should take advantage of. Other than that, I'm just looking forward to winter being over and spring actually getting here. We're sort of in the grips of what, the second fake winter or something that's coming along. I'm hoping to be able to have guests at our house during the summer, and maybe even traveling outside of South Portland for the first time in a long time. So anyway, Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. Good spring to everybody. I'm looking forward to the future. I'm feeling optimistic finally.
Thank you, Commissioner Coward. Sue Watonis, Commissioner Watonis.
No, I don't have anything. I'm all set.
Whoa, you left me holding. Well, my comments are similar. COVID-19 is still an issue. However, we're around the bend. And if we keep up the pace with vaccination as it has been, and those that are smart as to how we, it gives us the ability to be smart as how we protect others. The president has indicated the 4th of July very well could be Gold Day, when he'll declare more freedom from masks. And it's not that everybody's following the governmental directions and positions, but a lot of people are, and you see that it's paying off. And my congratulations to that. The days are getting longer. More adults and children are outside taking advantage of what they've earned by staying safe. And for that, I have to give a hearty thank you to all the people that are participating in doing that. And you can see the commissioners here are the same. They're all encouraging others to help protect one another. And believe me, it couldn't have been done without all of the diligence that we're all showing. The second issue, as our sheriff mentioned, was the jail stabilization bill. if you know any legislator, please contact them and ask them to support it. What it allows is the state begins to recognize that they have a financial or a fiduciary responsibility for funding some of the activities that are going on in the jail that they're requiring. And not that it'll cover what we really should have, but it's a start. And we need to get this bill in place so that then we can begin to work on what actually the figures should be. So I encourage everybody, if you know somebody in the legislature, indicate to them, please support this jail stabilization bill that's on the market. And I look at the clock. I will now declare that it's 5:35 p.m. and I'll adjourn the meeting.
I'd just jump in for one quick thing, sorry. The workshop is actually already tentatively scheduled for May 24th, not the 31st.
Right. I didn't get a chance to say anything, and I don't have much to say, Mr. Chairman, but I would like to see the received guidance from the federal government put on the website. And I kind of doubt that I'll be able to get through 150 pages in the next 2 days. So I may ask you to reschedule that workshop.
Well, I apologize, James. I apologize.
It's all right. It's all right. Silence is golden, as they say in some quarters. So.
Well, with that said, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I have one point of order, Mr. Chairman. If we are going to be on the 24th, I may not be available. I'm coming back. Our first trip in 14 months. We're going down to see our daughter in DC, and flight doesn't get back till 5:30. So, is it fixed in stone that we're having a meeting on the 24th or not?
It was just me going on to Jim's calendar to see what he had set up aside tentatively. So I don't believe so now.
That's a workshop, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So if
Can
we
I suggest we get a knife full of what the rules are before we start thinking we can have a productive workshop? I mean, I know there are a lot of people that are interested in putting an oar in the water in terms outside of the kind of the county administration and the commissioners. I mean, there's people think of this as a large opportunity.
Well, let me ask the question. Is there another day that this august body could meet? How about moving it off one day on a Tuesday?
Yeah, I can do the 25th.
How about everybody else?
25th is good for me.
Jim? You're muted. James, you're muted.
Yeah, I've got a pretty heavy trial schedule that week, to tell you the truth, but I won't stand in the way of doing something if everybody else can do it.
Okay.
I think it's too early, by the way, because like I say, it's going to be, that's only a couple of weeks away, and there'll be all kinds of people the first week of June saying, I never knew about this, and you've already held a meeting, and it was not fair. And, you know, we need to have a very public process, I believe, as part of this.
Well, the idea is for us to have a workshop and begin to at least have some knowledge of what is acceptable. Not that we're going to make any decisions or anything like that, but my feeling is if we don't start getting ourselves educated, then when it comes down to sitting down, and I agree with you, Commissioner Cloutier, that then that's when we've got to start putting some lines on issues, et cetera. And so this is just to begin to foment that particular thinking. That's all the idea. That's all this program, this meeting is for. Commissioner Watonis, you had your hand up.
No, I was just gonna say what you just said, Steve, but this is the preliminary for the staff to tell us, you know, with what's out there. I mean, it's not the meeting of the decisions. So it's just a workshop.
Yeah.
Any other comment, Tom?
Yeah, just for scheduling purposes, my calendar in the evenings is pretty clear through all those times after. So I'm you know, if you're having problems scheduling something to get everybody there, I'm looking ahead and I don't see any evening meetings for me then. So I'm more than happy to participate whenever anybody wants to schedule it.
All right. Thank you. Now I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So